Hello everyone, welcome to my first video. I'll keep the introduction short and sweet because nobody likes long boring introductions. My name is Maaike. I'm 34 years old and I live in a camper van. I've been doing this since about 2020. So I bought my van just before Corona broke out and then all hell broke loose and I wasn't able to use it for a couple of years. But all that aside, I have been living pretty much full-time in my van for about 5 years now. And I never really thought about documenting what I do because I'm not really that kind of person. I'm not a very Instagrammy person. I don't tend to really make photos to kind of display to the world what I do. And I also have no aspirations of making a channel that kind of explains what it's like to live in a van because honestly, the internet's already full of those kind of videos. You know, you can just type in van life tips or whatever and you'll find hundreds of videos and channels dedicated to that sort of subject. But I'm not really interested in that at all. Honestly, I've never been interested in documenting my life in any particular way. I do take photographs to send to my family, obviously. But I don't tend to really overshare this kind of lifestyle thing, or even just like publicly. But that being said, there's been a couple of events in my life recently that kind of made me think slightly differently. And I think, if anything, it's an experiment. I've literally just come back from a little hike up the side of the mountain. I'm currently in Spain. I've only been here for 1 day. This marks the start of my overwintering period in Spain because, as might be familiar with other people who live in vans, you tend to kind of go south in the winter when it gets colder and north in the summer when it gets warmer. And I always thought Spain was going to be overrated, but it's not. It's a fantastic country and it's fantastic for hiking, and I'm a big fan of hiking. I can't say I'm a very good hiker. I don't have a lot of energy, but I do the best I can. And today I went out on a very impromptu little hike in the village that I'm staying at the moment. So yeah, that's going to be my first video on this channel. I hope you enjoy. Oh, it's lovely being back in Spain and with the hiking trails here being so, dry and easy to get to. The only thing they don't tend to have is very good security. There's usually no handrails or anything to keep you from falling down, as can be seen by this steep drop down here. I'm not sure if I'll go all the way up because it is late in the afternoon and the sun does go down at 5:30 these days. You can see that there's a park at the bottom of this hill and it's got like all the autumn colours still. It's something I noticed while driving through France, is that you get these hillsides that are just speckled with autumn colours. It's gorgeous. But then you come to the Pyrenees and the vegetation very suddenly changes to pine trees and these very sturdy evergreens. Pretty sure this is a cork oak. So these all stay green through the winter. So you can see how this landscape is quite mottled with varying trees because we're still very close to France and whatnot. See the lovely autumn colours down there. And the sun is slowly getting low on the horizon. My camper van is parked up at the edge of the forest. So when the sun starts getting low, it throws long shadows across the parking lot, which means I'm shrouded in shadow pretty quickly. It's always a nice challenge to get enough sunlight in the winter for my solar panels and such. So I'm hoping that next year I can upgrade my solar array to something a bit more juicy. And I have no idea how far I'm going to follow this trail up because it's kind of impromptu. I didn't really prepare anything. I was just like, let's go for a wander about. Didn't take any water with me either. And these are definitely cork trees. Obviously not harvested. Such an interesting material though, isn't it? It's almost like styrofoam. Somebody sprayed styrofoam all over the trees. I'm just so happy being back in Spain. I never expected this to become one of my favourite countries, but you know. Sometimes you just find that the stereotypes are true, you know, and there's a reason why people love things. Now this is gorgeous. Absolutely amazing. Like, you'd think that an arid climate like Spain wouldn't have much variety in its, you know, in its landscapes, but look at the colour of this lichen. Every corner of Spain is completely different, and I found it actually to be one of the most diverse countries in Europe, which is not a surprise. I mean, obviously a lot of the plains area in the centre is all very monotone, but as soon as you get to the coasts, every coast is completely different, and the north coast is just wild, and there's like cliffs that kind of almost remind you of Ireland or Scotland. You know, it's just a rugged terrain. It's slightly warmer, but just as rainy. Oh my gosh, it does rain there. And when it gets slightly damp, this is very oppressive heat. It's the worst heat I ever felt was 20 degrees Celsius in the north of Spain, in Asturias. But the humidity was 100%, and you could just see the sweat dripping off me with 20 degrees Celsius. And some big rocks there. Oh, I love this. See, this is something you'd never find in the Netherlands. The Netherlands is all sand, and you know, I won't slag my own country off, it's beautiful. But it does get boring with the lack of variety. And this is just amazing. If I sound out of breath, it's mostly because it's actually quite warm at the moment and I'm already sweating. I'm in a t-shirt and it's nearly, well, it's just the start of November. We're in the south where my friends live. They're already still having like 30 degrees Celsius every day, you know? No problem. I don't know where I'm going, I just need to get the energy out. It's not like I had a long drive today, only about an hour. It's parked up near Figueres, which is honestly, I just stopped there because I've been driving for 4 hours yesterday, all the way from Lyon down to Spain. I just needed a break, so that's where I stopped. But today I only drove an hour south, so this is what I tend to do. I kind of hopscotch my way across the landscape. As you know, I'm the Wee Blue Snail, you know, I go snailing around Europe. I don't like to go fast at all, I don't like driving, which is ironic for somebody who lives in a van. I've no idea how much camping people do here. I mean, I saw the tent earlier. I think it's technically allowed in Spain. Or technically not allowed, but they don't tend to really bother you if you're not making a mess. It's the same with camper vans, like you're supposed to be able to park anywhere, because they have a difference between parking and camping. Camping means when you take out your awning, your chairs, you know, you basically make the vehicle bigger than the outline of the vehicle, and that counts as camping. So as long as you keep everything inside, you're just parked and you can basically sleep anywhere. There's like local ordinances and stuff, but that's usually by the seaside, and you know, especially places where tourists tend to be very messy and they're just tired of all the mess that they leave, so they make these local bylaws. But I don't think it's very common, especially in the interior, which I'm currently. I mean, you think I'd be like very far away from everyone, but I'm only about 10 minutes from the motorway. And it's a busy motorway that runs all the way down to Barcelona. So this is definitely the kind of spot, loads of people pass this, but you know, people just don't tend to stop. I found a viewpoint. Have a look. sun's just dropped below there. Oh, that's beautiful. I couldn't tell you which nature reserve this is. I'll have to look at it later. And yeah, so that's green. And that's all the yellow deciduous trees. That's the park actually. That's like a planted area that they built at the base of the town. I still don't know how far up I'm going to go. I'm just going to keep going. Have another look. That's the thing with filming, I keep forgetting to take pictures. Oh, that's epic. Can you just imagine? I wonder if this got like carved out by the ice ages, or if this fell down at some point, because it looks like a chunk of rock that just... But where did it fall from? There's no like tall mountains nearby. God, the history of these rocks, you can just imagine. See, it looks detached. How did that form? I guess the ice age must have like dragged it and the glacial ice and then just deposited it eons ago. Hello, Mr. Rock. It's one of those compulsive thoughts like, what if it fell down right now? That'd be a story to tell, wouldn't it? You really don't realise how green Spain can be until you get here. People only see the deserty stuff, which to be fair is also gorgeous. Last year I went to the Tapanas Desert, which is in the south of the country. And that's where all the spaghetti westerns were filmed. Spaghetti westerns were the western films, you know, done on a budget. And they were called that because they were usually produced by Italian people. So it's a little, you know, the name is a little bit racist maybe, a little bit derogatory, but that's what they were called. And well, the Tapanas Desert kind of looks like the Wild West of America. And it's not like all the Americans could tell. Guess it would take quite a keen eye to have a look at all the vegetation in the area to realise that you're in Spain, not in the Wild West. The labyrinth rocks. Yeah, I just had to climb over though, so I understand that moniker. Oh wow, look at this one. That's crazy. It's like a cave, but it's resting on top of like these tiny rocks. Somebody done got some graffiti on the inside. Now these were definitely deposited by some kind of ice age. They must have been. You can tell that these cork trees have been harvested. Not sure whether they turn black when they've been shaved. Not sure if that's a natural process or if they actually treat it some way. It looks almost burnt. Do you think they like cauterize a tree or something? Like they burn it so it doesn't get sick? I really have no idea. I mean, I've watched a video once of people actually harvesting these trees, and it's an incredibly skilled process. Because they literally just use a knife, like a kind of a hatchet, to hack away the layer around the tree. And they do it so skillfully that they don't actually end up killing the tree. If you go slightly too deep, you hit the, you know, the veins of the tree, I guess, or whatever you call it, the insidey bit, and it can kill it. But these trees are incredibly valuable because they can live for, you know, 1,000 years. This is a pretty old one because they don't get very big, cork trees. So once they get to this sort of size, they're already quite old. It's a very tall one. I'd say like 10 meters, which is like 30 feet maybe. Can you imagine coming up here, like hiking up here, because there's no road here. So they hike up here, harvest these trees and then bring it back down. Cork is a really cool material because you see it obviously a lot in Portugal, because that's the country, the biggest producer of cork in Europe, and they make everything out of cork, and it's an incredible material. It's very obviously renewable, very kind, low emissions. You don't have to waste anything because all the small cork bits can be pressed down together to make new materials. It can be recycled. It's a really cool material. I don't know why we don't use it more. You can make like a kind of a faux leather and everything. I'm sure there's downsides I'm not aware of. But all the products I've seen in Portugal look pretty amazing. It's not cheap, that's for sure. Maybe that's probably one of the reasons why it's not used a lot. Well, I'm gonna climb that. Okay. I'm good, all good. See if I can set this up, because I keep forgetting the selfie stick has a stand on it. That's why I make use of that, don't I? Alright. See, some of my friends would tell you I'm clumsy. No, I promise you I'm not. Not me tripping down at a straight path with just a little bit of a curve on the edge. But I can walk, I can climb all the rocks just fine. The more dangerous, the safer, You should actually watch where you're going. A couple of years ago, I was in Slovakia. And it's one of the few areas in Spain, or in Europe, pardon me, that still have wild bears. And obviously bear attacks in Europe don't really tend to happen very much, right? But anyway, I went hiking one morning. It was very early in the morning. And I was like, well, you know what? I'll take precautions. Make sure that I make noise as I'm going along. Sing to myself, make heavy footsteps and stuff. And I was just walking along the path, and all of a sudden I heard this ruckus in the undergrowth. It was really loud. And it sounded heavy. It sounded like something lumbering. Some kind of creature. And I don't think it could have been a deer. It sounded way too big and heavy to be a deer. So I just started making noise and just I just walked on very fast because I didn't fancy becoming one of the first victims to bears in Europe. I think that's the only animal encounter I've had, really. It's one of the reasons why I don't really fancy the idea of hiking in the United States, because the idea of encountering bears really quite scares me. Lots of people tell me oh, you go traveling around in your van, and have you been here and there and whatever, and I'm actually quite boring. I tend to stick to Europe because I really like Europe, and it's pretty safe, it's accessible, it's free. It's all very easy. So many people, they say, oh, you're so brave, whatever, to do this on your own, especially as a woman, all that kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah. But it's really not that hard. All it takes is a bit of, go-getting attitude to just not worry too much and trust yourself that if you encounter a problem, you'll fix it. And so far, every problem that's come my way, it's taken some time, it's taken some stress, but I fixed it. And it really doesn't take bravery. It just takes a bit of guts. Maybe that's the thing. It doesn't take bravery. It takes stupidity. It takes not caring too much about what happens. Well, it's not about being careless. It's not about being callous so much. But you just trust that everything will be okay and that most people are decent. Because every time I've encountered a problem, I've had people come along and actually help me out. I've had this happen a lot, actually, with various breakdowns. Or things like finding places to get water or finding a nice park up for the night. Like when I was in Wales, in Anglesey, I was looking for a nice place along I followed like the north coast of Anglesey. Because normally people, they kind of pelt straight through the middle of Anglesey. They go all the way from Holyhead down to Bangor. And that's like one straight road going right through the middle of Anglesey. But I was like, no, I'll go off the beaten track. I'll follow the north coast. Most people forget that. And I'd also seen on the map, like you have this really beautiful, this cool website called Atlas Obscura. And they find like really cool kind of, offbeat touristic locations to visit. And on there, I'd seen that there was like an old copper mine, that was even used back by the Celts, going as far back as that. And I was like, oh, that looks like a really cool landscape, because this copper mine has been mined up until about 50 years ago. So it's been mined for basically centuries. And now it's empty, like it's completely barren. This landscape is acidic, it's sour, like the ground, nothing grows there. And it just looks like a marshy landscape. So I was like, that's where I want to go. The north of Anglesey. So I was like, okay, let's take the route along the coast. Go snailing around. And I come to this really quaint little village, just off the north edge of where the mine is. And I was looking around for places to stay. I was in this little harbour. And the harbour has this, it drops down straight from the quay and down into the water. And I walked down to the waterfront, and there's like this little old building. This little like lighthouse, I guess, must have been. And there was two men there, two elderly men, and they were like giving people a little local tour. And they were just, volunteering. They were just standing there, informing people of the local geology, telling them how about Anglesey is like this really ancient bit of land, because it's not like the formation of the rock is completely unique from the rest of Britain. It's kind of been like tacked on. It's almost like it's an island, and I didn't realize that before I went there. But Anglesey is an island, sort of. It's only connected by a broad river, essentially. And I didn't realize that the geology is completely different from the rest of the country. That's why you have so many copper mines down there, because all the layers have kind of just been pushed up. So these two old men were telling me everything about it. Very friendly. Saw a weasel as well. It's like poking its head out. Lovely day. And I stood there chatting with them, and it's like, okay, so where can I stay for the night? Because this quay is very narrow and small, and I don't want to block anyone's way, because it looks like local fishermen come here to do their fishing, and I don't want to, be a nuisance to anyone. And they were like, well, if you take a little path around, there's this really cool little park up right there. And they pointed at it, and it's like the quay kind of juts out right in the middle of the harbour. And it's just like this little jetty almost, like it's like little land bridge. Like it's no use to anyone, it's just there as like a structural support thing. And they were like, oh yeah, if you drive around the next street, you can kind of come back around and park up there. So I did exactly that, and it's like one of the most memorable nights I've ever had. Like you have a 360 view of the harbour. You can wave it at anybody coming by. So it just takes you going off the beaten track just for a couple of miles. It really doesn't take very much to find cool spots. This is what most people forget traveling around. I'm so close to Barcelona. Really, like, I'm 30 minutes away from Lloret de Mar, which is one of the most touristic places in Spain, and just 30 minutes away, and I'm in this area. I've not encountered a single person on this walk. Yeah, it just doesn't take much to find the gems. Most people just don't dare to look much further than, with all these resources, like with the phone in my pocket, I can just find these places. And it's not like I'm a genius, I'm finding them, I'm enlisting the help of resources, See, this is the thing, people call me brave, but I would never be brave enough to cycle this. Holy shit. That's a steep drop right there. Can you imagine mountain biking this? Maybe if I started mountain biking when I was like 12 and kept doing it for 10 years, I might dare to do this, but holy shit. There's a drop right there. Yeah, no, I this is where I tip over, like instantly. Yeah, no, the only mountain biking I've done, I call it mountain biking, but it's obviously done in the Netherlands, which is fairly flat. I mean, some of the trails we have locally do go up and down a bit, but I think that it's just using like the natural sand hills, and the sand's kind of been compressed down a lot, so it's really nice and smooth. I mean, you have to say this trail looks quite smooth as well. Like this looks like this out lovely. I cycle this. I might break my neck, but yeah. Yeah, so that's the only mountain biking I've done is down there. It's just something I picked up when I moved back to the Netherlands, because I lived in the UK for 5 years in Nottingham. It's a great time, and I moved back in 2019 back to the Netherlands, which was after Brexit. You know, I was just like, oh, you know, my life's changed at that point, and I was like, it's time to move back, time to go back home. And I stayed with my family for about a year after that, and I just needed something to, you know, like a new hobby, take my mind off things. So I took up mountain biking. I was like, you know what, mountain biking seems like a silly thing to do in the Netherlands, right? As silly as like surfing in cold water areas, but you know, it's like, I'm gonna give it a try mountain biking in the Netherlands. So I bought myself a €700 bicycle, a cube. It was a cube that was kind of designed for women as well, so it has like a slightly more gentle geometry, like it doesn't have that big bar in the middle, and it's a lot easier to kind of lift your leg over, so people with shorter legs, yeah, it's a bit easier. And if you fall off, you can step off a bit easy. And I bought that, and I think I only used it mountain biking maybe about 3 or 4 times before I got the idea. It's like, hang on a minute, I can use this bicycle for travel. You know, I can go cycling and have some bags on there, because it's not a traditional bike, but I can still use it for that. You know, if I get the right bags, I can still use it. So that's what I did, and I went cycling in Scotland for about, a month maybe, and had a time of my life changing actually. Because again, my life had gone through a lot of changes at that point after Brexit and moving back home. So that journey was definitely an eye-opener for me. And yeah, I loved it. My little bicycle did great. It was still brand new, so didn't need any maintenance before I left. I think the only thing I changed is I changed the knobbly tires to like smoother tires. So it was a bit easier to cycle on the roads as well as on the sandy off-trail paths. Look at that. See, that's part of the trail as well. Can you imagine flying down that on the bicycle? Holy shit. Nope. I haven't heard any cyclists yet. Man, if somebody came flying down this, they'd kill me. They don't put any warning signs up here, like they do in the Netherlands. On the mountain bike trails, they warn you. Whoa. God, these bits are so steep, I have to run down them. Back to the plantation. You can tell these trees are planted. Anyway, thank you for joining me on this little hike today. It's really fun showing you around and getting to know you. Bye bye.